and finally cold. Ralph, you judged this show. Tell us how it affected you.
Oh, it was very, very cold, and especially the latter part of the day, you could see it affecting some of the dogs. We had more closed mouths than we usually have, lots of steam coming out for their breath, and but it at least kept them spirited, and you didn't see anybody lagging because of the heat.
I saw your temperament test there a minute ago.
Yes, I did the temperament test the way the parent club recommends it, and that is to pull the dog out, make them stop, make the handler stop, and make the dog stand at the end of the lead so we can approach the dog standing free, and do the check that way. I was pretty consistent with that. Temperaments were generally quite good. There were a few in there that were soft. But I think we're getting better in that department, thank goodness.
You had a number of dogs, and you divided them up into smaller groups so that you could manage them better.
Yes, I did, Carmen. I like 7. I like 7 because I can see more with once around than I can with, let's take a figure of 10 or 12, where you have to make them go twice around to see the dogs the same amount of time. And then I cull from those. I would take 2, 3, or usually a maximum of 4. Now this bitch will go on to select. She's a lovely bitch. She's about 5 years of age, I understand. She's animated. She has a beautiful dark eye. You'll notice as she'll start to move from the side that she really pushes off quite well. It's a very, very sound mover. She's a balanced bitch. Quite a nice front. Balanced with her rear. And she's quite feminine. This next bitch also goes on to select. This particular group, excuse me, had three bitches that went on select.
Woodside
and this one has a lot of class and moves very easily. She's a very free-striding, easy mover, and she's quite elegant. When you see her just relaxed,
Champion Woodside,
she's quite elegant.
She
gets a little stronger as she goes, but see how she flows very, very freely, no scrambling.
Champion
And this
Breauhausen's
little girl goes
woman.
select
By
also,
champion
3 in a row.
Ken-Delaine
Never thought I'd find 3 select
out of
bitches in a
champion
row.
Breauhausen's Danielle.
But she's nicely balanced. She has a little extra length, but she'll do it easily. She has a nice
Champion
flowing motion.
Pretty woman.
So she's going to make the cut and then go on.
Wind. By Champion Farmel's Desert Storm.
You side gated the groups and then you ordered them. You changed the order in which they came in the ring.
Yes, after they went around and I observed them, I also saw them a little bit standing. I would put them in order within each group,
Champion Bodan's
putting the bitches up that in the front that I wanted to go on for the cut.
Champion Libarland's Cowgirl.
So as the person in the audience would say, then the better athletes were moved up front for further consideration, and then the individual examination was going to filter it some more?
Yeah, correct. And then those groups came in later. The group that had been set aside to continue, I took those 7 at a time and made my changes there again and cut some of those. I think there was a total of about 50-odd bitches there. And I worked in groups of 7 because I could really see more with less time as far as gating around the ring was concerned.
Champion Breauhausen's Pretty Woman.
The ones now that are up at the front,
Woodside Future Vision follows, and Champion
the 2 girls are going to stay there.
My Joy. Robar's Honeybee.
This is your next
by
group.
Champion
This is right. This is the start of my of the second 7 group.
Robar.
Now, this little lady does not
group of bitches
make it
being
into the next
examined.
group.
Champion
Not a lot of
Winston's
enthusiasm
Mariah
with
v.
her,
Cypress.
but a little downhill.
By
but a very
Winston's
pleasant
Albert
bitch.
Einstein out of Falona DJ v. Fairfield. Champion Winston.
She makes it into the cut.
v. Cypress.
Doesn't go on to select, as I recall, but she's a quality
High
animal.
Cliffs, High Hopes.
This little girl will make it into the cut too, lacking a little bit in rear angulation, a little bit in shoulder, but she's a nice mover. She's has a good length of body to compensate
Champion
for that.
High Cliffs, High Hopes. Champion Chillmark's Poison by Chanel. Out of Champion Omega.
There's some quality
Delecto,
bitches there.
HT,
You know, there's a very nice shoulder
TC,
on this gal.
and Charisma's
I
Chanel
noticed
Woodside.
pigment was, seemed to have improved again this year.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And
Champion
I think
Chillmark's
that we were
Poison by
fortunate
Chanel.
that we were able to find some both good masculinity and very nice femininity. Here's another girl that goes on later.
Champion
She's going to make the
Ken-Delaine's
cut.
Clarice.
What a nice moving bitch that she is, and she's not young. I think she's 4 or 5 years of age. But she has some pizzazz. Very feminine bitch. Not large. And she'll get better as she
Champion
goes.
Ken-Delaine's Clarice.
She'll maintain that stride as she goes.
You know, I was glad to hear you say that some of these
Champion
bitches have a
Circle
little age on
Status
them.
Clementine.
It seemed like for a while there, they would all be in here at 1.5 and 2.5-year-olds, and then we'd never hear from them again. They'd either die or they'd fall apart, but now it seems like longevity with parent club emphasis is really starting to have its effect.
Yes, I think that it is.
Champion Circle Slashes Clementine.
022.
Champion
this is the
Tate's
last of the
Cora
group of
Monroe
7.
by Champion Woodhaven's
We're gonna start
Inflight
eating again.
out of Lighters, Kiona.
Well, you can see the breath from the dog, so you know that the cold
Champion
out there
Tate's
is
Cora Monroe.
cold enough where you can see their breath. And
As
Robar's
they say in
Honeybee.
show business, though, wait till later. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Champion Winston's Mariah
They
Beer
were
v.
really breathing up a
Cypress.
storm.
I wondered about you out there with as cold as it was.
High
I
Cliffs, High
went
Hope.
through 10 hand warmers in my pockets. I'm moving up this bitch.
Some classes you saved a few, and other classes you saved, I mean, you didn't have a fixed amount in each class.
No. At the start, I was a little more generous because you don't know what's coming up. You certainly don't want to miss a nice one or put one out that could compete for later. As I went down the line, deeper into the total class, it was a little easier to make those decisions. And normally it was about 3, sometimes it would be
Champion
2,
Merkel's
sometimes it
Cut
would be
Up of
4.
Timmy,
The first group
HIC,
just had a
by
lot of nice
Champion
bitches
Merkel's
in
The
it.
Cutting Edge out of Merkel's Heart to Heart. Champion Merkel's Cut Up of Timmy, HIC. Champion
This,
Ken-Delaine's Via of
this gal
Basic
ends
4
up,
by Champion
being
Ken-Delaine's Master
put into
Charge.
the good group.
Bozette, Basic
She's
4.
Really a little better moving bitch than she is a standing bitch. She has a lot of raw power in the rear. We'll get a chance to see her go. A reaches in the
Champion
front.
Ken-Delaine's Via,
And she's
basic
eager.
4.
She'll settle down a little more. Look at her reach in the rear. She's driving off, reaching in the front.
Champion
And
Amber,
she'll get a little
Sweet
better as she
Smile,
goes.
by Champion
This gal,
Jackson.
I think makes the
Out
cut
of
too, as I
Breauhausen.
recall. No. Yes, this one makes
Champion
the cut.
Amber's Sweet Smile.
And this one very feminine, but a little loose in ligamentation. Later on, as we make the cut, that's one of the
Champion Amber's Sweet Smile.
reasons I could see it at this point, but I thought maybe she would
Champion
firm up a little more.
Campaigners Aim to Please by Champion Campaigners Gatewood Uzi. Out of Champion Campaigners, I Told You.
Overall, looking at all the bitches and the ones who didn't make it, what was the prevailing problem, do you think, that we saw in the bitches who didn't advance?
Champion Campaigners
I'll tell you,
Aim to Please.
Carmen, it was true both in dogs and bitches. We had just had a lot of animals. Let me take a moment for this bitch. When I first saw her, I thought she would be a select bitch for me. She'd set up, this is a beautiful animal. Beautiful pigment, beautiful type. And we'll watch her as she goes, and she gates well enough, but she has basically one speed. And she doesn't deviate from that. I was hoping she would get stronger as she went, and she did get a little stronger. But and she made the very last cut.
By Champion Lighters
I'm sorry, I deviated from what we were talking. One of the basic problems was the breed now is not carrying top line. I'm not talking about exaggerated top lines or being held up by their owners. But as they go and they get into, they get further into the gating, you find that they drop that head, they drop into the shoulders, and they're going downhill by an inch or inch and a half. And even is fine. Downhill is not fine.
You think that's because of the lack of layback or the length of upper arm?
Sure. I think it's primarily for shoulder, and we're looking at a little bit of it here. She can go up, and then, but will not maintain that.
Champion Ken-Delaine's Via.
Those are when your selects there.
Yes, and she's just driving into the shoulder, and she's tending to not maintain the top line that I would like to see, but she'll get stronger as she goes. She'll make the cut.
Champion Kubastrom's Miss Independence, CDTC. By Champion
Now this gal will also make the cut. Nice striding bitch, could use a little bit more rear end, but uses it quite nicely.
Champion Kubastrom's Miss Independence, CDTC. Champion Walker's Quattro and Wide Malak.
Well, let's talk a little bit about anatomy.
Case,
The
right
feet,
on of
the
Tamar,
coat, the head,
out of
the
Chieftain's
femininity,
Razzmatazz.
the whole dog.
Well, generally speaking, the way I see the breed on this day, shoulders have not really improved as much as you'd like to see. It's just not getting the layback that we should have, or the length of the upper arm, but that's been with us for a while. They are
Champion
doing some
Windwalker's
improvement.
Tassel. By Champion
And
Windwalker's
this
Quebec,
gal's got
out of White Coast,
quite a
Lisbon,
nice shoulder
Chinook.
and a moderate rear. I think she makes the cut later. Surprisingly, Shepherds should have good feet, and we don't have a lot of good feet. It isn't that the
Champion
so much that
Windwalker's
the
Tassel.
feet are bad as they are. The toes are getting a little longer. We don't have as much pad as we used to have.
Champion Stonewall's Incandescence. By Champion
in
Balsam
coats, some of the girls,
Wellspring, out of Zimsu,
because of season or whatever, we're not generally in as good a coat as the males were. Most of the males were in pretty fair coat, and some of the bitches were a little lacking in feathering.
I spent a good bit of time over
Champion
at the
Stonewall's
agility and
Incandescence.
obedience ring to see what was going on over there, the herding instinct testing, and I was amazed to see the number of
Champion Dakota,
champions who were
Toto,
now being
Rio,
entered in
Lonesome
herding
Dove.
and in these other
By Champion
performance
Toter House,
areas.
Dakota Excalibur.
Isn't that great?
Summer House, Scarlet
Isn't that
Hero.
great that we can at least see some of them perform as we know that they can perform? It's strange, Carmen. I have the feeling
Champion
that with
Dakota, Toter, Rio,
many
Lonesome
of
Dove.
the handlers, they don't trust their dogs.
Champion
You can
Show
feel
Cause
they're a little
Triumph.
anxious.
By champion Timberlane's Jayhawker.
To take that animal off the lead and trust it to come back, it isn't there. And yet that's really the best way to train, is you have to train with some trust and let them make mistakes. You can't learn without mistakes. This is a very nice bitch, and she makes the cut also.
Triumph. Champion Riverdale's Cameo Keepsake. By champion Cubby Tucker Hill's Candyman out of Riverdale's.
Hopefully we're on the wane with overangulation. We still have it, but we're becoming more tolerant of dogs who don't have
champion
as much rear
Riverdale's
as long as
Cameo
it's usable.
Keepsake.
And I find it's healthy for the dogs.
Champion
Those animals
Stonewall
that are
Incandescence,
are
now
not
in front in the fourth group.
overly angulated, at least are not
Champion Windwalker's
contributing to this
Tassel.
extra length that we see.
Champion
And I think in the end
Showcrest
it will
Triumph.
help the breed.
Champion CJ's Rumor Has It.
I think you're right.
By
As
champion
judges begin
Charles
to put emphasis
Spellbinder
on
out of champion
making
CJ's Battered
corrections,
in
as the
Gold.
Germans like to say, within a few years, the breed begins to show the effects of that change.
The most amazing thing that that changes that I've seen through the
CJ's
years
Rumor Has It.
is in mouths, in bites, and primarily in
Champion
teeth.
Cubby Tucker Hill's
When I
Mark
first started judging
Fair.
over 40
By
years
champion
ago,
Leiter's Excalibur out of champion
a lot of
Cubby
missing
Tucker
teeth.
Hill's
It was not unusual to see a
Mountain
champion with 4 missing teeth, because the criteria then was 4 missing teeth was a serious fault. So there are some judges would argue with you, well, if it doesn't have, if it has 4, it's only not a serious fault. The 3 was not too bad, 2 is acceptable, and 1 you could go grand victor with.
Champion Cubby Tucker.
Today that's just not
Mark
true, and we don't see that in the mouths anymore.
Champion
We made a firm
Merida
rule, and
Panache,
we live by it.
TC.
And
By
today
champion
you see
Calamars
more
American Express
jaw falls than
out of
you
champion
find
Carmi's Red Fragile.
tooth falls.
Champion Meridon's Panache, TC. Champion Coastline Poison of Asgard. By
This is a very,
champion
very nice
Inflight
bitch,
out
and
of
I keep her
Asgard
for further
Lava
competition
Fever.
too, because she'll make the cut. She's a beautiful type, lovely pigment, a very strong mover.
Champion
There's quite a nice
Coastline
croup on
Poison
her.
of Asgard.
Could use a little more lay back, if you notice, but she'll use it well, and she'll go very strong. This
Champion Inflight
gal we're going to keep on
Only
for further judging, and she's going to go grand
Inflight's Fly So
victrix.
Free out of
She just got
Inflight's
better
Hepburn,
and
Sadie
better
Hill.
and better. Beautiful type. Look at the eye. Nice dark eye, that dark face. She will flow and flow. Nice short hawk. Uses it well. Carries her top line. Just a gorgeous type of gal. She will settle down and she'll
Champion
just become a
Inflight's
moving
Heaven
machine.
Only Knows.
Now that's a natural top line.
Champion Phil Carr.
This one
Juliet.
goes on for further
By
competition
champion
too,
Franjo
and goes
out of
select.
Charnap,
A different
Chicago.
kind of a bitch, a stronger bitch, a little larger bitch, a little more raw power. And incidentally, this one is 5.5 years old. That's much to her credit.
Champion Phil Carr's
That's
Juliet.
nice for a 5.5-year-old, and she'll get stronger as she goes.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and that's a real compliment to the owners.
Look at this one, Carmen. My heart went out to her. Isn't that beautiful training?
Champion
The only one in the show.
Jamaica,
Backed away, showmanship. I gave her a select
By
last time I did the
champion
National, which was
Fantasy Island
4 years ago, I guess.
Out of champion McCoy's
Beautifully
Shell.
fronted animal. Not a youngster anymore. But I'd love to see people show their dogs more like that without hands-on.
Champion Kamesha Jamaica V. McCoy, CDTC. This gal is now 7 years
She'll make the
Great
cut for
credit
further
breed. Champion Phil Carr's
for further
Juliet.
competition,
Champion Coastline.
just on quality alone. I was hoping that she would be able to go a little further. You see me checking this girl on the tail. The carriage bothered me. That does not infer that anybody has touched the tail, etc. But we're getting a lot of things like spondylosis, etc. And it's shown sometimes early in the game with some type of a tail carriage. And it behooves us to watch for it carefully, because there's more of it now in the breed than what we've had in the past.
Well, I'm really glad to hear you say that. You know, so many people only want to see the side gate as if that's the German Shepherd, and the dog is so much more than that. And it's great to hear you say that you're looking at other things and other parts of the anatomy and not just the side gate.
I do wish that sometimes some of the ringside would stand at the corners and watch the dogs come and go. We're not a real pretty sight collectively, although we do have our good dogs coming and going.
Champion Franjo's
In the early days that I was in the breed, I would station myself at specialties at the corner, so that I knew how every dog came and went. And we didn't have as big a problem then as we have today. Dogs were a little shorter in body. They were a little straighter in both rear and in shoulder. And consequently, they had better control of their extremities. As we've lengthened the dogs, we've not only made them a little sloppy going away, but oddly enough, they're worse coming at you than they are going away. Length is, we paid a penalty for the beautiful rear angulation that we've wanted for long years.
Laurel House Treasure.
This will be a tail in motion again, where if you notice, there's nothing wrong with the dog athletically, but it indicates that in the transmission of power
out of Champion Stonecroft's fashion plate.
There's some effort being lost in the tail as the rudder.
Champion Stonecroft Fantasia.
This is a shot of not quite the top line that we would like to see, but again, with more gating, they come along very well.
Oliver Viazuma out of Shirobi's Desert Storm. Champion Shirobi's Real Quick Legend. Champion Ken-Delaine T by Champion Ken-Delaine's Master Charge out of Champion Covey Tucker Hill M&M Jiminy.
Once your dogs more or less pass the individual, the coming and going, and checking the teeth and the temperament, after that, what kind of things influenced your decisions as to whether they stayed in and made the cut or whether they were excused at that point?
Well, there are a variety of reasons, Carmen, but primarily I was looking for those that were good gaiters that I thought might go forward, and those animals who had quality but did not quite have the gait that I was looking for were also retained to give them the opportunity to loosen up in the cold and to show me what they had. Some of those dogs placed further than I thought at the first view of them, and others just went backwards. When one sees shoulders that are not well placed, when you see them standing, you can pretty well calculate that you will not see dogs carrying a top line in motion. When one sees not the quite rear angulation, one can guess that they will probably kick up behind. It's just kind of a mechanical function that happens. But yet the proof in the pudding is to watch it, and the best thing that they can have is athletic ability, because athletic ability will let the average dog do more than what his structure says he can do.
Cage from Cypress.
We see that a great deal in Germany, really. Do we not? You see dogs that
The
are
winner's
really
bitch.
superb gators.
Esteem's Love Potion number 9.
This is the winner's bitch.
Out of Caradori's Casanova and Gagner's Jasmine.
She's a little overstretched. She has more angulation than that as you see her as she goes. I kept her for further gating. I was disturbed a little bit by the white chest. That's quite a bit of white.
The winner's
And we do see it in our breed.
Esteem's Love Potion number 9.
We've never been able to really eliminate it. Smooth mover.
This is the veteran bitch.
This is your veteran, I think.
Ardent's Mistletoe v. Charnap.
7 years old or older.
Yeah, isn't that something? She has animation and interest in what she's doing.
The veteran bitch. Ardent's Mistletoe v. Charnap. Winner of
This is the winner of the new class, the conditional breed class.
Our criteria.
Certified hips and elbows is required to win this class or even to be entered in it.
Piper Hills Uncorked by champion.
You know, this
Peter
is the first
Franco.
time a specialty club in the United States has offered this class, and I'm glad to see it was the German Shepherd Dog Club of America.
Well, I think we should add on the record that that was a brainchild of yours and a desire of yours, and I was glad to see you bring it to fruition.
Well, thank you. I hope it becomes popular. I hope specialty clubs and all breed clubs across the country will pick up on this, and that allows every breed to put emphasis in one class where they think it ought to be for their breed.
I think it's a good idea. All right, this was the last group.
Champion Ken-Delaine's Clarice.
I'm bringing back the bitches from the
Champion Breauhausen.
from the other groups, bringing the first 7 back of the remaining group.
Champion Ken-Delaine's Clarice.
I'm going to recheck to refresh my memory coming and going on each of the animals, making some changes where it warrants,
Ken-Delaine's Via of Basic 4.
but we still have a way to go.
Well, the weather doesn't seem to bother the dogs. I mean, I know the handlers were a little cold, but if you're looking at these dogs, they don't seem to be bothered by the temperature at all.
No, I thought the dogs handled it a lot better than I did. Now I'm going to select several of these animals to stay, and the others I've excused. Most I've excused a fewer number.
Only knows. Champion Coastline's Asgard, Poison of Asgard. Champion Amber's
This is the next group of 7. There will be attrition from this
Champion
group.
Inflight's Heaven Only Knows. Champion.
You know, I was glad to see you do some coming and going and checking them again, and then those that didn't measure up to the ones in front, I guess you let go. So many times you see judges go through this coming and going, and then nothing ever changes.
True. Now we have some disappointed people, and I don't blame them. They have nice bitches. They made the cut, and they should be proud of that.
Juliet.
This is another group.
First bitch, Esteem's Love Potion number 9. Helmix Elaine T. Champion Phil Carr's Juliet.
You know, for those who weren't at the show, I guess we should tell them that the size of this ring is, what would you call it, a small
The
football
winner's
field.
bitch, Esteem's
It was good size. We had the orange cones up to keep the ring that good size. The oddity about most shepherd people is the vocal demand for large rings. But when they show, especially shows, the circle around the judge gets smaller and smaller. They don't use the ring.
Champion
The cones help
Alexis
the dogs stay away, and so you get a little better idea of what they look like in motion. All right, we've kept approximately half of that group. I guess this girl is waving to some friend.
I saw your steward comes out after each cut. I guess she keeps up with who you...
Yes, she has everybody by number. They kept, there were 4 stewards that I had.
Inflight, heaven only knows.
And extremely helpful. They were experienced, and the paperwork was kept to a minimum.
Close to the final judgments as Inflight, heaven only knows. Followed by
we're now getting down into, I believe, the final group. Yes, we are.
Champion thrill cars, Juliet.
We have the girl in front that's going to become the Victrix, and the number 2 bitch stays where she is too.
Still in front, Inflight's
look how easy the Victrix goes.
Champion Ken-Delaine's
Just a
Clarice.
very balanced mover. Second one also.
Champion thrill cars, Juliet.
The third bitch moves with a little bit more power, but is not quite as fluid. Fourth bitch is a nice, easy moving bitch. There's an ugly old man, is what it is.
That's cold weather settling in.
Well, it settled all the way to my stomach. That's the problem. Hey, there's Joe Bahari after his unfortunate problems on a couple of days before. Everybody applauded. Happy to see Joe back. What a nice man.
Ken-Delaine Clarice, champion
We're
cars,
still in the
Juliet.
finals. Very smooth, even moving. And here I've made my decision. I'm congratulating each of the people that they select. They're placed in that order. And there were a total of 9 selects that were made.
Well, that's a happy group, and I guess lunchtime.
Oh, yes.
Warm moon and hot coffee.